Hello and welcome to the show. Today I would like to welcome Anara Asylbekova, which I hope I've got right. I think I have. She's nodding. She is a portfolio manager currently working in healthcare in the United Arab Emirates. She's been managing COVID response and technology portfolios both for healthcare, fintech, and has done several agile transformations globally. She is also a creative facilitator at AgileMentor.me, where she uses Lego Serious Play, wicked problem solving, and value stream for teams and company transformations. She is a PMI chapter Kazakhstan leader as well. And she is now a candidate for a doctorate, doing research into AI in portfolio management, which I'm sure we'll touch on. Co-author of the Mastering Solutions Delivery book, and together with her husband and kids wrote a book, Little Project Manager, the project of creating my first book in 7 days. So Anara, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the intro. It's going to be great. Just have a little bit of a bio there. Just tell people a little bit more about you and where you're from, kind of where you grew up, where you are now, and things like that.
Yeah, okay. I'm from Kazakhstan originally, so I'm Kazakh. I have about 20 years of experience, mostly in the project management and portfolio management. Been doing projects in Kazakhstan in the fintech mostly. Also been working in India, Czech Republic, and some other countries for the project execution. And since pandemic started, I'm based in UAE. Been working in Abu Dhabi for the COVID response projects, and then moved to Dubai. So currently I'm in Dubai
Right.
with my family and kids.
Brilliant. So obviously we connected on LinkedIn, and I think it was I'm trying to remember whether it was me who contacted you or you who contacted me, but it was around the book, the Little Project Manager, the book of creating my first book in 7 days, and I kind of tell us a little bit about that and why you wrote that.
Yeah, so we've been volunteering for the PMI chapter in Kazakhstan, me and my husband. So I've been a disciplined agile champion, and he's been part of the board, a board member. So we've heard from the PMI the initiative that they would like to start teaching project management for the kids.
Yeah.
So we had that seed in mind, and while our kids was growing, they've been saying that they want to do some kind of stuff. They wanted to make a video like a bloggers. Most of the kids do when they play, they record it and they want to put it to the YouTube. They wanted to write a book. They wanted to create a board game. So they've been coming to us asking on how it would be better to do that. And we immediately thought that it would be a good idea actually to teach them the skill of making it with the project management tools or the frameworks, so they would understand the principles and they would learn it while doing the fun stuff. And maybe that skill will then embed in their mind and will help them in the future. As you said, the project management is a life skill, right? So, and we had that in mind all the time. So we've been doing, initially we had a Scrum board, then we had the Kanban boards. We've been using different tools, and we've been doing those projects, a little small different kind of projects that together with kids. Then one day my husband came saying that, oh, there is actually people interested in this subject, and they've been heard that how we've been doing it with the kids. So he came up with an idea. Let's write a book. Yeah, and he drafted the first version. Then we came to our kids. They read it. They simplified the language because they've been coming and saying, oh, that's not clear, or actually this was done differently. So they've put a lot of ideas around. The small one, Daniel, was saying that, oh, I actually like putting a ticks. Let's put the ticks against each of the tasks that we do. So we added ticks. Then we asked other kids what their interest is, because the first book is about writing a book by the kids. So different kids had a different interest. One of them wanted a car book. The other wanted about the cats, the dogs. the mermaid, right? So we added those different templates for the kids, so they would be having it based on what they wanted the book be about. So that's the story. And when we published actually the book, we've got a lot of interest from the project management community. So we received a lot of recommendations, and we've received a lot of interest as well from the school. So we have a reference written by Daniel's teacher, a reference written by the headmaster of the school. So I would say that it's a success. And as a result, we've got an interest to translate it to the Arabic, to translate it to the Kazakh language, because they wanted to have a version in own language, right, to teach. So the project management, project managers who are parents, they've been coming to us and saying, oh, actually, it's a good way to explain to the kids what kind of work we do.
Yeah.
So if the kids would be learning the project management, they would be understanding, oh, my mom is actually a project manager, so now I know what she's doing. And that's a kind of a surprising feedback that we've got on the way of releasing it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It's. I noticed because I was looking at. I haven't got a copy of the book yet, but I will get one. And I was. I see you've got some what's it called, the recommendations on the back there. And you got Americo De Pinto from PMO Global Alliance in there. He's like obviously a big hitter in the PMO and then the project management community. He looks after the Global PMO Awards and runs that as well.
Yeah.
And a true jewel, he says, encouraging kids to dream big and go on their own creative journeys. I greatly enjoyed and enthusiastically recommend this book to young readers and their families. I'm not sure how old your kids are. I've got a 17-year-old and an 11-year-old, and both of them are authors in waiting. I've tried to instill some project management discipline in them and teach it. So it's always kind of being a bit like, oh, dad kind of conversations when it's like, what are we going to do? Okay, well, I want to do this. It's kind of, well, what do you need for it? Well, what do you mean? I just want to do it. It's kind of, yeah, but come on, so break it down. Break it into components.
Yeah.
Eat the elephant. And it kind of, then I get the hand to my face going, go away. But I remember we did it, and I've mentioned it on the show a couple of times. We did it quite a while back. We were doing quite a lot of work in our garden, and we were doing it as a team, the four of us. And we've got 3 windows in our kitchen, and I just looked at it and I thought, right, post-its, backlog, to do, doing, done. And started sticking them all up there, and it's just like, right, we've got using a window. You don't need a fancy whiteboard, you don't need a fancy Jira or anything. Yeah. If you've got 3 windows or 3 spaces, you can build a Kanban board, and you can use it. And I encouraged all the family. In fact, we started using Trello. Other Kanban boards are available, but we started using Trello, and I think one of my kind of prouder moments is when my eldest, she'd been at school and she'd been scribbling something. She was doing something on her phone. I said, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just putting this on my Trello board. And she uses her Trello board for ideas at school, ideas for this. What do you mean? She's like me, you start using it and you end up with these hundreds of different boards to capture ideas on. And it's kind of like, that's good. It's kind of, because, and you said it, I've said it so many times, and you said it as well, is the ability to look at a task, understand what you've got to do, or understand what you don't know what you've got to do, break it down, work out what needs to be done by when, and what happens before, etc. All that is a skill. Yeah, exactly. And there's only one place, really, when I see in the school curriculum, that's maybe me being out of date with it a lot, where you actually follow something like that. You don't necessarily create it, but you follow something like that, and that's cooking. Mm-hmm. When they do the cooking and you're following a recipe and the method, it's a project plan. Yeah, you've got your do this by this day, do it for this long. Here's the settings all within there, and I think that's the only time that people see it. And
Yeah, and we also try to teach them the language of the project management as well on the way, how we do it. So they just come and say, "Oh, mom, there is a birthday. My birthday is coming in 2 months. I want to celebrate it." And like, okay, let's define what we need to do. So let's put a scope around it. What's the timeline we have? They're like, "Oh, 2 months. Okay. What do you think you need to do? How you need to prepare for your birthday?" He's like, "Oh, I need to prepare a list of the guests. I need to find out the place." So by guiding them with the questions around it, and then they actually smart, right?
Yeah.
They know what needs to be done, and they just came up with the scope. Then they came up with the plan. They understand what kind of constraints we might have, and that's the way how we can teach them. And then it might help them to understand that if you want to do something, you need to plan, you need to understand what you need to do, you need to understand if you have a budget for it, if you need someone's help, so you can build up your project team, right?
Yeah.
And then get a help to do that activities. And that's exactly what we have reflected in a book. It's just they do an activity, they write a book, they make a short film, or they do the party, and they just follow the steps. And at the end of the book, they would understand that, oh, actually, I've done the project, I've achieved it. And that's the time to celebrate it with my friends and the parents and everyone who helped with the project.
Brilliant. So you cover it from the whole thing of defining it through to the celebration of the success, which is something that's important as well,
Yeah,
isn't it? Because sometimes we get through projects and that remembering to celebrate, because just as project managers, you're usually, if or I find quite often you're delivering a project and you know that you or your manager or someone in the area has seen that that project's coming to an end. We've
yeah,
got this project coming. They
yeah,
usually overlap, so you're in the middle of trying
yeah,
to understand and get to grips with the next thing while you're finishing off the
yeah,
last thing and filling in the lessons learned template that you have to, that needs gets filed in somebody's drawer and never get looked at.
true.
And
Yeah,
that chance to celebrate, and you'll see things, say, in organisation you're with, it's coming up to Christmas, well, there's Christmas celebrations going on, so you can't, and then those
yeah,
celebrations and that yeah, we did this, can really drift to one side. And I think, again, with my kids, they've got music is the thing they do a lot of, and they're doing music exams and doing things like that. And I think it's important to, when they've done the work and they put that hard work in, because that's a project in itself. If you think about it,
yeah,
they've got
yeah,
so much to learn, they've got lessons to go through, and we
yeah.
battle with them sometimes on getting them to do the practice. Though they seem to love the music when they are doing it, it's just getting them to do it. But we're all a bit like that, I think. And I think,
Yeah, it's always about putting the milestones, and yeah, not forgetting to celebrate it. It should be
yeah,
fun, first of all, especially when it's done with the kids. They should be entertained, they should be motivated and interested to do that, right? And it's their idea to do the stuff. And then celebration is the great achievement that they have accomplished something, they have a result, and that's really important for them to step into the next project with more confidence, and with the feeling that they can do it. And celebration gives them that feeling that they can actually do
yeah.
it.
Because I think it's good because it ties emotion, doesn't it? A positive emotion to the hard work. Because sometimes when getting stuff done, there's a little bit of discomfort, isn't there? And you need to have that
Yeah,
positive reinforcement so that that inner chimp can actually sit there and go, actually, you can pitch to that inner chimp the benefits of it, and remember last time kind
true.
of
Yeah,
thing, isn't it? It's
yeah, yeah. It's a feeling of the fulfillment as well,
yeah,
right? Um, yeah,
yeah. I think it's interesting to think about. Um, it's the phraseology used at the schools that I've heard is they're doing a project book, or they've got a project or something like that, and I've said it before, but you watch things like Dragon's Den or The Apprentice, sorry, and they're give people they make people project manager, and it's like they're not project managers, they're just team leaders. Stop it. I get really annoyed with that phrase being called project manager. They haven't got
Yeah.
they haven't got a Gantt chart in their hand or a Kanban board, so they can't be a project manager.
Yeah.
But that aside, and for regular listeners, they'll be fed up with me saying that. But I think that there's a I'm trying to think what I'd say. That whole thing is structured around project, about those things you've got to get. You've got to do something for a specific piece, and I think some kids will probably do it really well. They're really organised and they get on with it, and they've got the natural capabilities of breaking down stuff. And if you watch a kid doing something, if you, I don't know, a piece of Lego, your Lego instructions is the same as well. You kind of go through it and you follow that process. It's that defining the process. I think some of us are naturally good at following a set of instructions. Some of us are naturally, as humans, are comfortable just not knowing what's going on and just winging it. But they're kind of it's kind of and in both of those extremes, if you like, there's one extreme where someone would like someone to give them all of the instructions, and they'll just follow them. And then at the other end, we don't need the instructions. Let's just see where we get. And that's where I think in between we've got this need of a capability to create those instructions and then follow those instructions, to follow your own instructions and your own plan. And I think kids don't necessarily recognise the benefit of that, but and remember it when they do it, how good it is. And it's kind of with the experience from your side of it. What you mentioned that Daniel's teacher was saying it was really good. What was it that they said about it? What was it that they found was different and about using this book?
First of all, it's a structure, as you said, so easy guidelines that kid can follow to do that, right? And as you said, kids are different. Some of them can independently do that, and the language of the book, at least the first one that is for creating an own book, is written in a way the 5-year-old kid would understand it. We've tested it several times, and we've got a feedback, and the language was tailored by Daniel, who's been at that time 5-year-old, right? But it's also important to remember it's just a kid. So the parent is there to help and to facilitate it. We kind of forget that we expect quite a lot from the kid, but they actually copy us, right? So if they see that we do it in a more structured way, they see that we plan the stuff, they see that we put those stickers on our board in order to understand what should be done and then move them around, they would follow that as well, unintentionally, unconsciously, right? They will just observe how you're dealing with your projects, with all those activities that you do, and they would copy it. And the parent is there not only be an example for the kid, but also to help kid to achieve that result as well. So if it's a bit challenging for the kid to do his or her first project, our help is really essential. It's us who would describe them why it's better to do it within the framework of delivering a project rather than making it chaotic. And also we can propose them an instruction how to do it better, right? And our book really helps in that, with the examples that's very easy for the kid to understand.
Brilliant. So I'm just thinking about sorry, it's just gone, that whole thought, just train of thought. I just think about what you just said there, and my train of thought completely lost me. But I'm just looking now at the message from you guys on there, that you've kind of got your two kids there and the pictures in there. It was just a curiosity one. That was really, who did the illustrations for you? Because it's for those who are not listening, well, you can see the book behind your head, can't you? For those on YouTube, it's behind Anara's right side there. There's it's a picture book, obviously, and so who did the illustrations for you, and how did you go about finding someone to do the illustrations and so forth?
Yeah, that's the journey as well on itself. So I've been using Fever to find out an illustrator for the book. So the first three version was failing. It wasn't exactly what we wanted to do, but then we found an amazing illustrator from Ukraine, Alina, and yeah, she understood straight away what we wanted to achieve, and we've said like we want our faces and the faces of our kids managing the project. So in all the pages of the book, you would see illustrations from her for the different project management
Yeah,
activities.
I like.
So yeah, it's an
Yeah, I'm
amazing.
just looking at the pictures. It looks really nice. I really like the style of it, and it looks really accessible to the kids. I can see that in your notes for parents in there and things like that. And yeah,
Yeah, it's a hand drawn because some of the freelancers they've been, oh, we create, just send us a photo, we'll create for you an AI images
yeah,
or a ready images that will be doing what you wanted to be illustrated, right? Like we actually want something real.
yeah. I can see that because I love. I'm going to grill you on AI and portfolio management and all that in a little bit because it's an area that I'm fascinated with, as we all are now. I was just thinking about that where you've got the benefit of what it can do. I've been doing some generation for book ideas and things like that. My eldest was doing sort of fan fiction around Marvel characters, and there was one scene, and I
Okay.
said, "Well, why don't we do this?" And we kind of looked to do it like a little bit of a graphic novel kind of view, and whilst it wasn't
Okay.
perfect, what I asked for in prompt using just Bing was kind of like it's a really good start point of where you could get these things, and you could have like a 5, 6, 7 picture cartoon. If it could, the only thing I found I couldn't get it to stay consistent, but you could have done like a couple of speech bubbles, and you're away, and you've got it. And it was something I could never have dreamt of doing myself. Being I'm not particularly arty, I do can play around with a little bit of a pencil, but I wouldn't say I can draw to that level.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was amazing what it can do. So it's, but I can see where the benefit of having that. Nat- Naturalness of the hand drawn because there's the imperfections, isn't there, that make it
Yeah.
more real in some ways, and it has a different
Yes.
feel to it when you've got
Exactly.
those imperfections in it a little bit. And
Yeah.
I remembered what I was going to ask you actually. I was thinking about you saying there that you you were both kind of hopefully modelling for your children in your behaviours in how organised you are
Yeah.
as project manager in your own life. But I wonder because I wonder there's the sort of story that the fact you get every mechanic's car's broken down and not working very well because they're really good at the job but not very good at looking after their own, and all finance people's money's in trouble. And I just wonder whether it's, and I sometimes find myself not organising and kind of planning something in a structured manner that I would at work,
Mhm.
or even sometimes with you have some
Yeah.
tasks at work where you don't do it, you'll manage a team and get a whole project and you get them organised, and then you're doing one little self thing that you're doing and you don't organise yourself. Do you and
Yeah. Yeah.
your husband, is Timo your husband? Do you two, do
Yeah. Timo.
are you paragons of virtue that you everything you do you always plan, or do you let yourself slip sometimes as well?
I think you guessed it correctly. I'm a PMP and PFMP certified, and I have a bunch of other certification. He's PMP certified, and as you said, everything that we do as a
Yeah,
projects. And that's funny because our friends look at how we do it, and there's like, how you find the, how you're not lost in all the project or all the activities that you do. Yeah, because it's structured, because it's
yeah,
really organized in a way. Oh,
yeah. That's
Yeah,
So
so
it's always wonder whether people do that. I remember I worked for a boss many years ago, and the thing that he used to do is the first thing him and his wife would do on a Saturday morning would work out what jobs they needed to do, go and do
yeah,
them jobs, and then have the rest of the weekend off. I'm kind of like Saturday morning, I think, I've got no work. I can relax a little bit, and then potter around. I might do the odd podcasting, but then I sit there thinking, it's Sunday
yeah,
morning, going, I haven't quite recorded the intro for the podcast for this week. I need to go that quick, and I find I'm a little bit
yeah,
the opposite way in that I can be quite good at applying it. And quite vociferous with kind of going. If someone gives me a plan that's not a Microsoft project, I say it's not, and it hasn't got dependencies in it, I say it's not a plan. But if you get to that sort of level, uh,
yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
it's funny, isn't it? How
Yeah, I think the main constraint is the time, right? The resource that you have. So you try to manage
yeah,
everything
yeah.
within that.
I found I've tried to apply with my writing, with the podcast a little bit, and um, with some of my sports stuff, so with judo and my running, kind of planning out my training plans and things like that, and try to apply them to those.
Hmm.
But one of the things I find really, really useful in all these instances, but is that exercise, and sometimes you can get lost in it actually, that exercise of sitting there and working out what needs to be done, working out that, in quotes, work breakdown structure, and the dependencies, and kind of a view of how long things might take, and
Yeah,
there's a real pleasure in doing that, I find. And I alluded,
yeah,
did you? I can't remember whether you said it was Daniel who said he liked the ticking things off. There's a there's a great
yeah,
pleasure in doing that, but sometimes there's a real danger that you're ticking things
yeah.
off and you're planning to a detailed level that is so detailed that actually you're stopping yourself doing work. Do you kind of catch those sort of things within the book and talk to those kind of approaches, or is it more the mechanics rather than the mindset?
It's more on the, yeah, we don't go to that granular level, right? It's a
Mm.
book for the kids, so the we don't want to overload with a lot of information and maybe a lot of tools that the kid might not need it. But we do emphasize that kid as a project manager, he or she will need
Yeah,
a team. So it's not that they necessarily need to do that project delivery themselves, right? So it's about embedding in them some other skills as well, like a leadership, like a delegation, like a task assignment, like negotiation as well. And we also emphasize, especially for our kids, is like, don't expect that I would remember everything that you should do, right? Or everything that you need us to do. So keep chasing us, keep
yeah,
following up with us. If we have done it for you, or if we still remember it, or do we still plan it? So, and it's amazing how after sometimes you actually got in a situation that you've overpromised it, but your kid remembers everything that you've promised, and they keep chasing you, and you don't have a chance not to deliver it.
yeah. I
Yeah,
like that the that skill of delegation, which I think is really key to a lot of people when they're moving to management leadership, but even in family situations, that we can all be guilty of just getting on with it ourselves, can't we? And when you're running a
yeah, true.
household, I was trying to remember who it was I was talking to. It was Alex Kingsbury, and they kind of look at what their kids are doing, and early on allocate them a task list of what they've got to do, and delegate their getting their stuff ready for
Yeah,
school the following day, and they're tiny
yeah,
as well, and I think that is a good practice to go into, because as a parent, you can end up just running around after the kids, and they get to the point where they get used to it, and and
yeah, true.
unless you and the thing is, you've got to be willing to go through a bit of pain when you delegate, haven't you?
Yeah,
Before it
yeah.
works.
It's the same pain. Yeah, Yeah, it's the same pain that you face with the team members, especially the new team members who joins, right? And your kids, you need to invest your time in order to teach, in order to mentor them to do that independently. And then you need to help them to tailor that skill. And then only they can independently carry on and do it themselves. So that's the actually trap that most of the managers fall under, because they don't want to invest the time to train, to mentor, and then they don't have a choice to delegate it, right?
Yeah, I think it's that conversation they have around, and again, I haven't quite got it entirely, but that servant leadership kind of approach. The way I look at part of that is it is making that time to help the person do their job and do their job better. And in order for you to do that, you must have time available for them to come to you. You must, and I think there's a tension in organisations a lot of the time where you'll have a person who is the manager, and they're so busy doing because they've got to approve this, they've got to do that, they've got to do that. The organisation gives them so many things to do, not necessarily the tools to do it with that well, that they don't have the time to be a leader. You know what I mean? You're doing management rather than being a leader, and being a leader means that mentoring, having the right number of people working for you that you have time to be able to invest. Because the idea is that you should get stuff done through them, not that you should do the stuff. And that's exactly the same thing, and that's what the same with the kids. It's like, see, understanding dependencies, understanding negotiation to get someone to do something, getting you, paying your little brother or little sister. You can have my broccoli if I can have your whatever kind of thing. You see it negotiating at the dinner table sometimes, don't you? We're swapping food. I remember me and my brother, there's a bit you don't like, and your parents may not spot you doing it, but at least the plate's clean and the parents are happy, aren't they? And I think it's a skill that it's a habit, actually. I think in delegation, and I break it quite a lot, and try to not break it. But it's about timing. Obviously, it's not. You can't always do it. Sometimes you've got to do that thing where you just got to get on, roll your sleeves up, and get something done, isn't it?
Yeah.
But other times it is a case of, right, can you do that for me? And I do find myself sometimes just. Especially, I suppose, in areas where I feel comfortable and know about it and know that I know it really well, I'll kind of go, I'll do that. I'll dive into it, and then I need to stop myself doing that more. And it's something I do recognise where there are certain things where I should just go, right, can you go and do that for me? And I know I'm going to take ages. This week there was something on it. I knew. It ended up with them on the phone, and I was cracking through a spreadsheet doing stuff. And rather than me just saying, can you go away and do it? And I spent an hour doing that. And it was, maybe it's just the pressure of timing and needing to do it. And again, sometimes that is the case. But I do catch myself better now. But I think it's fantastic teaching those skills and negotiation skills for kids, because again, negotiation is about influencing. For me, it's about sales, and we're all of us are selling always. We're always doing it.
Yeah. True.
So, I'm just looking at the structure of the book on the screen. I'm not going to steal your thunder. Do you want to just talk through it a little bit and just give people a little view of how you structured it and how those lessons come out?
Yeah, so
obviously don't give away
the
the
book
whole
is structured
story,
in a way
because
that,
then no one will buy it. Yeah, that's fine.
no, I won't. Yeah, those pages are actually seen on Amazon, so it's fine. So the book is structured in a way that it actually presents a project management to the kids, saying, "Hey, you are a little project manager, and the project you are going to do is about, for example, writing a book or filming a short film." And we also have recommendations for the parents on how they can help and facilitate this project for the kid. We also structured in a way that there is steps and phases similarly to the project execution. So the project goes and they initiate the project. They plan the project, so define the scope. They plan what they need to do or what they want to do in this project. And then after they plan it, they have a team who would be doing what. And they got a commitment from the team members. Then they go to the execution. And while the team members execute the project according to the plan that they have drafted, or there is a challenge level, right, when you draft the plan, but there is also an easy level for the kids when the plan is given, and they tick. And that's the most favorite part of the kids, the tick and activities. So they don't know, but they're actually doing controlling and monitoring, right? And so the book is designed in a way that kid can do that project in 7 days. And if something is not done in a day, I don't know, 2 or 3, then they can spot a problem, why it's not done, or if there is anything happened, or they have some kind of surprises in the project for the reason it wasn't done. So they try to solve it. They try to talk to the team members. So we guide kids through those steps and the situation that might happen in the project. Then after the completing, they have a closure as well. So there is a celebration, or there is a lessons learned discussion with the team members if the project is not achieved in a way how it was expected.
I like the way it's done as well. There, you've got that. I love the way that you're talking about the monitoring and actually stealth teaching them that they're monitoring and controlling, because it sounds boring, doesn't it, when you say, right, you've just got to monitor stuff, yeah, but where actually, as you say, it is, and it is that thing of, I've done it myself with me project plans when I've been updating them, and I'm ticking off stuff that we've done or making it 90% complete or 80%, and I'm just sitting there thinking, yeah, feels good. Yeah, there's a real satisfaction. So I can understand why they enjoy the ticking on it. That's brilliant. So before we move on to a few other things that I wanted to chat to you about, especially about the AI stuff. If people, I think you mentioned it's available on Amazon, isn't it? Your book at the moment, and I think there's a few variants that are out. Coming out when we're talking, but maybe out when this goes out. We weren't quite sure on the timing. So, do you want to just tell us a little bit about the versions that are coming down the line, and if there's any other information around the book that people can get hold of if they wanted to.
Yeah. So the currently book has 3 volumes. So the one is for the kid to create a book. The second is for the kid to make a short film or any other movie that they would like to do based on their interest. And the third is to create a party.
Okay.
So we intentionally done a different kind of projects and different kind of examples. So different kids would find what they like more. For the first book, they have a different set of the characters that they can use to write a book. For the short film, they have a different topics to do, so they can create a short film with an actors, or they can record the interview, or they can record an unboxing, or any other content videos that there is quite a lot in the YouTube available.
That's brilliant. So that gives a little bit of variance to what people might be interested in. So that's superb. So and again, it's available on Amazon. Is that the main area or the only area you've got them at the moment?
Mostly it's Amazon, which is quite convenient. It's available globally, right? It's only the exception is the Central Asia, Kazakhstan mostly, because Amazon don't easily deliver there. So we have their local markets, e-commerce platforms where the book can be found in Kazakh and the Russian languages. Yeah.
So let's move on to what your doctorate that you're working on at the moment, and AI in portfolio management. And I think AI for me is well, it's the big step change. There's a lot of news about it. There's lots of capability and the acceleration of it. I was thinking about it the other day. It was the year before last. I released my book, the Productivity Hacks book. And obviously, we've been in COVID, and we've been doing. It's all about different tools you can use, and using things like Outlook rules and all manner of different things to automate our lives a little bit. And a bit about remote working as well, because obviously we've gone into remote working. And I look back now, and how from then my thinking of using AI for productivity, and I was using Otter AI, for example, as a transcription tool back then. I've been using that for a while, but that's probably as advanced as the AI I thought was going to be for a while. And then suddenly, from the end of last year to now, it's gone absolutely ballistic. So, what's your take on it? Where were you? 2 years ago, 18 months ago, in the AI, from an AI's point of view?
Yeah, so my first experience with AI was the project that we've been delivering. We've been delivering that project for Kazakhstan and for the UAE as well. It was a diagnostic AI that will help to diagnose a COVID from the CT scan. And it was a COVID time, right? So it was really timely, and it was increasing in efficiency, and the time that doctors required or they had to diagnose the lung. And also it's been used for the cancer as well. It's been showing a lot of positive results. It was showing that it's reduced the queue waiting for the results of the test. And that's the project I've been delivering. I've got a lot of interest on the AI and how it can help in different kind of activities. At that time, we haven't been talking a lot about AI, right? It was only those who's been in that field, who's been learning and applying it. But yeah, as you said, very recently, it became a huge hype, and it's now everywhere. Everyone's using AI, ChatGPT, or any other tool that's available there to help you to do the work faster, maybe better, but we don't know yet. Depends. Yeah, but my concern in my doctorate degree is that AI is improving, and there is a tendency in the human nature that we might rely on the technology too much. It happens now with our phone, with alarm, or with all the messages and the calendar that we have. We rely on that, right? And we might over rely on the AI as well. So when it comes to the portfolio management, what I'm afraid of, and we'll see what the research will show, that we might over rely on the AI in order to make decisions. It happens now, right, when investors rely on the AI feedback in order to invest the money or to build a portfolio of stocks where they want to put money. It might happen the same with the stakeholders or the sponsors of the projects, that they might rely on what AI is showing and then make wrong decisions. So where AI is and where the human is, and how we can collaborate in order to make better decisions, what might be used there, that's the one side. And there might be the other sides as well that we might want to consider. And there is a lot of research is happening now related to the ethical part of it, and what human might trick in order to make it, to make the dashboards, for example, look differently, or to fake the results of the outputs that AI might produce. So we know about a lot of fakes that's coming with the help of AI, and human is the one who put the task for AI to make those fakes, right? So that's the other edge. So what I would like to understand in my doctorate is awareness of executives and the portfolio managers on what AI might bring to our corporate decisions when we build up our portfolio, when we actually try to build it in order to follow our strategy or the new budget for the new year. Do we know to which extent we can rely? Do we know to which data we might rely? Do we have an education behind it and understand how that data comes, right? So all of those questions I have in mind, but I don't know the answer yet. So I have 3 years
it's
to find it out.
It's fascinating one to do, because obviously the speed and pace of change within that whole arena, you're kind of going to be behind the curve.
Yeah.
Well, you're behind the curve before you pick up the next article on LinkedIn, isn't it? The day before, it can be literally a day later. Because I did some training a couple of weeks back now, and it was something that and they talk about the ethics. It was the LinkedIn training on with Microsoft. It was actually really good. I think it's free. It was free at the time, and in fact, it opened my eyes a lot to some problems and some opportunities. And one of the things that I didn't realise, and I think is the transparency of what you're using AI for and the model that you're using. But then coupled with that was the difficulty where some of the way that we build these AI models, and they could be, is that they do their own self-tuning. So you don't actually know what's going on inside. You know the inputs, you know the outputs, but you don't necessarily know the black box bit in there of how it's done it.
Exactly.
Because it works it out itself from the data you've given it, and obviously then depending on your data source, the data bias is going to be a difficulty there, and your outputs that you want, and
all of that.
And it opened my eyes to a lot of the problems, and the context of the problems, not necessarily the I kind of was aware of them, but I understood the context of it more. But also then the opportunity of what you can do with some of the stuff, and the way that I know Bing is for me has been ramping up really quickly.
It's a human, right, who trains an AI. Any AI model, it's a human. So whatever biases human has, it will be just transferred there into the AI. It's important to know is that you need to have a skills to challenge the data, to challenge the results, and to know what kind of data been fit into the AI in order to have that results, right? The one of the examples is very simple. So one of the AI models I've been testing for the portfolio management is that you have a different set of the projects that you want to invest. You kind of define what kind of goals do you want to achieve at the end of the, let's say, 2 or 3 years when all the projects are completed and you actually can feel and receive the results. And when I put those projects and those constraints and all my data into it in order to get a result was a bit surprising. And why, you say? Because the model was built for the market and the conditions of the USA. So it's considered the capital market there, the human capital there, the economical situation, and the political situation. So you can't take that model easily and try to build a good portfolio for the company that is located, for example, here in the Middle East, because you have absolutely different conditions. You have all expats from all over the world, so the human capital is really key here. You have a different economical situation. You have a different figures for the market, for the capital market. So everything, all the inputs are actually different, but the model is trained for the different environment, so you can't easily apply it. Do you know that? You might not, right? And you might trust the results, and then you might build up the portfolio that will not work for you. So it's really essential, I think, when we try to use an AI, we need to understand how it works. For example, taking a ChatGPT, most of the people just trust the result, but they don't know that there is a statistics behind it, right? If I write a bullshit 10,000 times, ChatGPT takes it as true, but it's not necessarily true. It's just how many times it appears in the database. That's it.
They're kind of dumb AIs sometimes, aren't they? And it's depending on what we're doing. But then as they evolve, and as it's you've got to understand. It's that whole thing of kind of liken it to the when you're learning maths at school, where the teachers want you to learn it without a calculator, and the thing you always sat there when a calculator arrived when I was growing up, and they were it's like, well, we don't need to learn it now, we've got a calculator.
Yeah.
But being able to have that skepticism and that knowledge to be able to question the tool is key, isn't it? And that's it's like using social media. The skepticism of anything that's on social media, you don't believe it's there. The skepticism of everything that's coming through ChatGPT, the skepticism of someone's project status report. It's, you know, you kind of got to sit there and go, hang on, you can't just take it as being that's what's happened, because you need to think about it. Sometimes I've done it, I do it myself, and I kind of sit there and someone will read something out to me, and I will be in the report and I'll read it, and then an hour or two later my little brain goes, hang on, that doesn't make sense, because the dots are there. And whereas at the time when I'm talking to them, sometimes it'll be that sounds about right, but that skepticism, not skepticism's are wrong. The analytical part of our brains in there that we need to be using.
Yeah, it's a complete different set of the skills that project managers in our context need to learn, right? So they need to understand the data. From where data comes and what kind of data was fit there. Maybe not exactly the way how the model works, but as you said, question all the outputs that it gives, and maybe just backtracking with the inputs that you give. And also with the AI, it's really important on what you put as a request. So you need to learn what kind of request you need to put in order to get a desired output. So it's not that you can write anything and you can get some kind of result. It's really knowing what kind of request.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because I was talking to someone the other day about it, and there was I was saying about the fact that prompt engineering is where you need stuff there, and they kind of said no to me because the way that the things are moving on, you can get the AI to write a prompt better than you can to prompt your output, if you know what I mean. You kind of say, write me a good prompt to get me this kind of result. Whilst then you're kind of in a circular loop where is that prompt okay? But you can't, it starts to become turtles all the way down sort of thing. And building separate models and understanding what's there and not doing it's fantastic. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. I'm just looking there. We're kind of coming up on time a little bit. Just thinking. Maybe when you're Dr. Anara, in 3 years you've got your doctorate, and where do you see AI in project and portfolio management? What in your mind are you thinking in 3 years' time? What's going to be different? What are we going to be using? How are we going to do our jobs differently? Horrible question, I know.
I think it's a hard question, but what I think about it is that we would apply it more in our day-to-day task rather than how we do it now. So as an example, I had a position of a project coordinator in my team. Then I've just subscribed for the AI solution that will actually participate on the call, do the meeting notes, and then give as a result a list of the actions for everyone who's been on the call. So do I need now a project coordinator? Maybe not, but for some of the activities, it's really easy to automate it and make it easier, on the day-to-day activities. So if you are building up a new project that it's already been done. It's very similar to any other project. For example, developing some kind of software solution or making some kind of change. and AI model knows that, and then it gives you a draft of the plan. And then you, as an experienced project manager, look to that draft, and then you tailor it based on your context and based on other parameters that wasn't considered there in AI. So it actually helps us a lot to save time. So one of the other AI solutions is to look into the performance of the team based on the work that they do, and then suggest a different kind of benefits and motivational instruments, tools, in order to give it to the team members and then improve their work on how fast or how better they do based on the results, right? So I see in the three-year time that we will be using it more, and maybe more people will be open to use it, and we'll be saving our time to more creative work and more on our expertise that we can add on top of the routine. So I really hope that AI will help us to optimize the routine part more. It's already now, right? But I hope that AI models will be improving dramatically, because we are using it, we are giving a feedback, so it's getting trained and it's producing better and better results from day to day. So in 3 times it should be a bit sophisticated.
I'd agree. You just mentioned there about the AI using the plans. I was talking to someone, and I'm going to get him on the show as well, a guy who created a product called Tom's Planner. I don't know if you've seen it. It's an online Gantt chart tool, and he's plugged an AI into it, and you can go on there now. It's free. You just go, give me a plan for doing this. Hey, give me a plan for writing a book. And I can't remember what it was I put in for there. I wasn't writing a book. I was doing a podcast. I said, give me a plan for doing a podcast. And it just went, and I looked at it and I went, oh. And what you can do is expand this to include this other steps or whatever. And he said he'd done it, and what he'd done was do it for making, I can't remember, if he was making a cup of tea or he was making something. A bowl of cereal, sorry. Just make a bowl of cereal. And he did it, and it kind of brought out this list. And then you get to the point where it's right, okay, break it down. It's kind of right. You could break it down where you could get the prompts that then, in theory, a robot could take that prompt, take that set of instructions, take that recipe, and do it. So right, you get it to the point. How much pressure do you put on the bottle of milk when you hold it and tip it? How much pressure? And you just sit there thinking. If it's as part of your research, you're looking at tools and things like that. Tom's Planner, it's called. I would recommend going and have a look at it, what it's done now. I don't know if other ones are doing it as well, but it is. I was just so shocked at how quickly, from it being available to that being a practical thing, because you know that thing where you've got a project, you're ready to start it up, and you start brainstorming, you start thinking about what are the tasks we're going to do on this. But if you've got something like that, and then you've got your portfolio history and your repository of all the projects you've ever run, and you sit there and go, we're going to do a project with this software, this hardware, this number of sites, create me a project plan to do that, and bang, if you've got that as your start point, as you say, the speed that starts, because you get the team together and go, right, okay, that's what our team member chat has come up with. Exactly. Let's go through it. Well, we need that. Oh, yeah, never thought about that. What about that? We need more detail. Expand on it. And I can see what that kick-off meeting and that scope definition and that planning, the acceleration of that, just going through the roof. Just using it, isn't it?
And then you have time actually to work with people, right? So you have a time to do the leadership. You have a time to motivate your team and do all the other stuff that these days you don't have time, because you are just covered with that routine from the morning till the evening. You are trying just to create that plan.
Talk to the stakeholder and make sure what you're delivering is what they need.
That's the benefit I see. But again, we need to remember that we can't over-rely. We can't take it as a true, right? So we need to invest our time and our expertise in order to improve it, to put a context and to apply it. as well.
It's been a fascinating conversation. Both parts of this conversation, yeah, I had kind of a lot of passion. As I say, my view of our kids need to learn, and something I didn't mention before. I'm going to mention it again because, and it's probably will have moved on from there. I know that Steve Wake, who's former CEO or chair, can't remember, of APM in the UK, the Association for Project Management. He's working on a synopsis at the moment,
Yeah.
looking at potentially pulling together a sort of high school qualification in the UK, GCSEs, for project management. Which I think, again, it kind of I'm
Yeah.
not the only one, and we're not the only ones who believe that these skills are good for our
Yeah.
kids. And
Yeah.
when he shared it, there was loads of people going, great idea, great idea, great idea. So I think it's something that as us
Yeah.
project managers, our listeners there, we know the benefits of this. It's kind of, we need to sell it out there a little bit to the rest of the world. Of
Yeah.
it's as useful as maths and English, I think.
Yeah.
And it will help you do your maths and your English, and it's all those sort of
Yeah.
things. So that bit, yeah, thank you so much for that, and the AI stuff as well. If people want to find out more about you, get hold of the book, um, I know you've been involved in some other publications and things like that as well. What's the best way for them to get in touch with
Yeah. They can find me in the LinkedIn, Anara Asylbekova. And for the little project manager
you?
book, they
Okay,
can follow us on Instagram. So our
nice.
book has its own page. There is a lot of recommendations, a lot of thought, and a lot of talks about it from people that actually use this book. So they can follow the littlepm.book. They can find that page on the Instagram. Yeah, and thank you for having
No,
me.
it's brilliant.
It
Thank you
was
very much
very
for giving
interesting
me so much time.
discussion.
And on that basis, you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and yeah, have a great time.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.
So how was that?